Last time, you saw how your data gets collected. Every click, every scroll, everything you almost bought but didn't. By the time you close the tab, a picture of you already exists. But that was only half the story. Because collecting the data is one thing. The real question, the one almost nobody stops to ask, is this. Once a company has all of it, what are they actually allowed to do with it? And here's the part that surprises most people. The answer is almost everything. And almost all of it is perfectly legal. Let's clear up the first myth. A lot of people assume there must be some law that stops companies from doing whatever they want with your information. And there is law, quite a lot of it actually. But it is not the solid wall you might imagine. It is more like a building full of doors, and most of them were quietly unlocked the moment you tapped accept. So let's walk through what they are allowed to do. And I want you to notice as we go how normal each step sounds on its own. First, they can keep it, often for a very long time. There is rarely a clock ticking that forces a company to forget you. Your data can sit on their machines for years, long after you stopped using the app, long after you forgot the account even existed. Second, they can study it. And this is where it stops being about what you did and starts being about what you are. They are not just storing your actions. They are using those actions to guess the things you never told them. How old you probably are, roughly what you earn, whether you are likely to be moving house soon, whether your mood has shifted lately, your health, your relationships, your politics, all estimated, quietly, from patterns you didn't know you were leaving behind. Here is the simplest way to picture it. Imagine your data is a single photograph you handed over. You assume it is just that. One moment, frozen, harmless. But in their hands, it is not a photo. It is a negative, and they can keep developing it, sharpening it, printing fresh copies, long after you have forgotten the picture was ever taken. Third, they can combine it. The data from one app, stitched together with a loyalty card, with location history, with a thing you bought in a shop. Each piece on its own is almost nothing, but layered together, they form something far more detailed than any single company could have collected alone. And fourth, the big one. They can share it. And in a great many cases, they can sell it. This is where we meet an entire industry that most people have never heard a single name from. They are called data brokers. Their whole business is buying, combining, and selling information about people. You never signed up with them. You never gave them anything directly. But they may hold a profile of you anyway, assembled from hundreds of sources, packaged up, and sold to whoever wants to understand you, or reach you, or judge you. Advertisers, insurers, political campaigns. And most of this trade is completely legal. Now, remember a word from last time. Anonymized. The comforting promise is that your name gets stripped out, so the data isn't really you anymore. It is just numbers. But researchers have shown, again and again, that this promise is thin. With only a handful of details, where you were, at what times, what you searched, a so-called anonymous profile can often be traced right back to a single real person. You. Anonymized, in theory, turns out to mean identifiable in practice. So where are the laws in all of this? They do exist. And in some places, they are getting stronger. In Europe, there is a rule book called GDPR. In California, one called CCPA. And they share a simple, powerful idea. A company needs a legal reason to use your data, and you are given real rights over it. That is genuinely good news, and it matters. But here is the catch. One of the easiest legal reasons a company can point to is your own consent. The yes you handed over by tapping accept. And another is something called legitimate interest, which is exactly as flexible as it sounds. So the same laws that were written to protect you also quietly describe the doors through which your data is allowed to walk. And this is the part I want to sit with you. Almost nothing we have described is a scandal. It is not a leak. It is not a hacker in a hoodie. It is the system working exactly as it was designed to, out in the open, perfectly legal. The creepiest things that happen to your data are usually not the illegal ones. They are the ordinary ones. So what can you actually do? More than you would expect. Those same laws hand you real tools, and most people never pick them up. In many places, you can ask a company for a copy of everything they hold on you. It is called a data access request, and what comes back can be genuinely eye-opening. You can ask them to delete it. You can tell them not to sell it. And on a lot of services, there is now a link that quietly says, "Do not sell my information." And in your account settings, you can usually turn down ad personalization and cut off some of the sharing at the source. Let's be honest about what that gets you. You will not vanish from the system. The profile does not evaporate, but you can shrink your shadow. You can make yourself a smaller, quieter, less detailed target. And for something that costs you a few minutes, that is not nothing. Quick recap. Once a company has your data, they can legally keep it, often for years. They can study it to infer things you never told them. They can combine it across sources into something bigger than the sum of its parts. And they can share it or sell it into an invisible industry of data brokers you have never heard of. Anonymized frequently isn't. And the very laws meant to protect you also hand companies the keys, through the consent you give and the interests they define. The uncomfortable truth is that most of this is legal by design. But you do have rights, and using them genuinely shrinks what they can hold. And now you understand something most people never stop to ask. Not just how your data is taken, but what is allowed to happen to it next. If this made one murky thing feel a little clearer, that is exactly what this channel is for. Taking the parts of technology that feel confusing or slightly suspicious and making them honest and clear. But there is one more piece to all of this. Notice that through everything we have talked about, your data has been readable. Just sitting there, in plain view, ready to be stored, studied, and sold. So what decides whether your information can be read at all? There is a single, invisible technology standing between your private life and everyone else. It is the reason a message can travel across the entire internet and still only make sense to one person at the other end. Next time, we look at encryption, in plain words. And once you see how it actually works, a lot of the things you do every single day are going to feel very different. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.